I'm so happy you could all come tonight because this is really exciting for me. And we're going to do 3 things. Wait, 3 things. Is that right? No. I'll keep that finger down. 3 things. First, I'm going to tell the story of Yitzi and the Giant Menorah. It's a story that I wrote and I did the pictures for. Second, you see I brought my easel with me. So I'm going to do some drawing for you guys to show you how I drew the pictures. And third, if you have any questions, at the end we're going to unmute you. And then you can ask me any questions you want, or tell me about your pet, or maybe I'll tell you about my pet. And I also got some neat stuff to show you. Oh, before we get started, 2 things. First, the story takes place in the village of Chelm, okay? I want to tell you something about the people of Chelm. They're very silly. Instead of having breakfast for breakfast and supper for supper, sometimes they have breakfast for supper and supper for breakfast. And sometimes in the winter when it's really cold, instead of wearing gloves on their hands and socks on their feet, they wear gloves on their feet and socks on their hands. Like I told you, really silly. Oh, one more thing I have to say. This story takes place during the Jewish holiday of Hannukah. And it lasts for 8 days, okay? So the thing in Hannukah is there's something called a menorah. It's like something that holds candles, okay? And each night of Hannukah, you light 1 candle on the menorah. The other thing I should tell you about is there's some really yummy food that you eat during Hannukah, and it's called latkes. You may have heard of them. They're made from potatoes, and they're kind of like home fries, okay? And the third and last thing I want to say is that one of the games you play during Hannukah is spinning something called a dreidel. Now a dreidel it's just like a spinning top, okay? Anyway, too much information for all of you. Let's get to the story. One cold winter day, on the eve of Hannukah, a wagon rolled into Chelm. Strapped to the back of the wagon was a large object covered in blankets. "People of Chelm," the wagon driver announced, "the mayor of Lublin wishes to bestow upon you a special gift." At the mention of a gift, all the villagers ran from their houses, trying to guess what the gift might be. "I know," said Avram the carpenter. "It's a fine cedar bench for the synagogue." No, said Chaim the water carrier. "It's a golden water pump for the village square." "Oh no," said Shmulek the herring vendor. "It's an ocean full of fish." Well, they all watched as the wagon driver, with help from some of the villagers, unfurled the blanket to show them what was there. "Wow, ooh, ah," they all said. "Yitzi," said Avram to his son, "I have never seen a tree as beautiful as that one." "It's not a tree, father," said Yitzi. "It's a menorah. It's a giant menorah." Well, that night, the first night of Hannukah, which actually happens to be tonight, they lit the menorah for the first night of Hannukah. And when you light a menorah, I want to show you one trick. You have to light the top candle first, and then use the top candle to light all the other candles. So on the first night of Hannukah, after the giant menorah had been lit, Avram turned to all the villagers and he said, "People of Chelm, we must find a way to thank the mayor of Lublin for this gift of the giant menorah. Certainly a gift as wonderful as that is deserving of more than just thank you." The villagers agreed, and when they went to their houses that night, they all thought the same thing. How should we thank the mayor for the gift of the giant menorah? Well, the next day, the second night of Hannukah, After the giant menorah had been lit, Rivka the cook turned to everyone and she said, I know a way to thank the mayor. I will cook him up a batch of my famous potato latkes. He'll love them. Everybody nodded their heads. They knew that Rivka's latkes were the best in all of the land. So the very next morning, Rivka got up really early and she cooked up a batch of her famous potato latkes. They turned out wonderfully, golden brown. And when the latkes were ready, she bundled them all up. And she called Shmulek over and said, Shmulek, here, take these latkes. Ride like the wind to Lublin. You have to get there before they cool down. And here, take this jar of applesauce to go with them. So Shmulek hopped on his horse, Lucille was her name, and they set off for Lublin. Well, they didn't even get to Lublin before Shmulek smelled something delicious. And he said, oh, I don't know if I can resist it anymore. So he stopped Lucille by the side of the road and he ripped open the bundle of latkes and he ate them all up in less than 1 minute. And while he was eating the latkes, Lucille slurped up all of the applesauce. Well, when they realized what they had done and that there was no latkes to give to the mayor, they hung their heads low and headed back to Chelm. Well, the next night, the third night of Hannukah, after the giant menorah had been lit, Yitzi turned to his father and said, Father, it is the third night of Hannukah, and we still haven't sung any of the Hannukah songs. Can we sing one song tonight? No, Yitzi, we have no time for singing songs. We have to find a way to thank the mayor. And I know how to thank him, said Chaim. Everyone meet me here tomorrow morning, and I will show you the perfect gift for the mayor. Well, the very next morning, everyone got up early, and they joined Chaim in the village square. And Shmulek said, Chaim, so where is the gift for the mayor? And Chaim said, it lies all around us. But Chaim, said Shmulek, all I see is snow. Precisely. Snow is the gift. But I don't understand, Chaim. Lublin has its own snow. They don't need ours. Oh, not really the case, said Chaim. Our Chelm snow is much whiter and more sparkly. And he didn't wait any longer. He loaded up 2 big barrelfuls of special Chelm snow onto his cart. And he set off for Lublin. Well, before long, it was getting very warm. So he had to undo the buttons on his coat. And when Chaim glanced over his shoulder to check on the barrels of special Chelm snow, he received a rude shock. There was no snow in the barrels, only water. Wait until I catch the thief who stole my special Chelm snow, said Chaim. But he had no snow to give to the mayor. So he turned around and headed back to Chelm. Well, the fourth night of Hannukah, after the giant menorah had been lit, Chaim said, well, Yitzi said to his father Avram, he said, Father, it is now the fourth night of Hannukah. Can we sing one Hannukah song? No, Yitzi, there's no time, I told you. We have to find a way to thank the mayor, and I think I know I have a great way to do it. You do? Said everyone to Avram. Yes, I will carve the mayor a fine dreidel. Whenever he spins it, he will think of Chelm. What a great idea, everyone thought. So that night, Avram went to his workshop and he worked all through the night, carving a dreidel. And in the morning, he showed everyone the nice dreidel that he had carved. Ooh, they all agreed. What a fine looking dreidel. And without waiting any longer, Avram hopped on his horse, whose name was Bella, but she happened to look a lot like Lucille, and they headed for Lublin. Well, they were making such good time getting there that Avram said, "Hey, I have time to take a break." So they stopped at a crossroads. And Avram said, "I wonder what I'll do during my break. I know, I'll play dreidel." So Avram started to spin the dreidel. He spun it and spun it and spun it. He was having so much fun spinning the dreidel that he lost track of all time, until the hoot of an owl, hoo hoo, brought him to his senses. Oh no, where has the day gone? And which is the way to Lublin? There's 4 roads here. Avram was worried. But then he had an idea. I know, I'll spin the dreidel, and whichever direction it points must surely be the right way to Lublin. So Avram spun the dreidel, and he and Bella followed the direction in which it pointed. But instead of ending up in Lublin, they ended up in Minsk. So he spun the dreidel again, and they followed the direction in which it pointed. But instead of ending up in Lublin, they ended up in Warsaw. So Avram spun the dreidel one last time, and he and Bella followed the direction in which it pointed. But instead of ending up in Lublin, they ended up back in Chelm. And by then, the 5th and 6th nights of Hannukah had already come and gone. So we have to catch up. We have to light the 5th night, and we have to light the 6th night. And now it was the 7th night of Hannukah. And after the giant menorah had been lit, Avram turned to the villagers and said, "People of Chelm, it's the 7th night of Hannukah. Tomorrow is the last night. If we don't find a way to thank the mayor by then, he will surely think that we're very ungrateful people." Father, Yitzi, I told you, there's no time for singing. It's not that, Father. I have a way to thank the mayor. You do? Everybody turned towards Yitzi. Yes, Shmulek, tomorrow morning, ride to Lublin, go and see the mayor, and tell him tomorrow night to climb the great hill outside of Lublin. All right, said Shmulek, but what is the gift that I should bring? You don't need to bring a gift, said Yitzi. The mayor will find his gift when he gets to the top of the hill. And everyone else, meet me here at the village square tomorrow at noon. There is one more thing we must do. Well, the very next morning, Shmulek set out for Lublin on Lucille. And at noontime, everyone met with Yitzi in the village square. All right, everybody, let's load up the giant menorah onto this cart and follow me. So they loaded up the giant menorah, and Yitzi walked outside of Chelm until he arrived at a great hill. And he said, "Okay, everyone, let's get this cart with the menorah all the way up the hill." Well, it was a steep hill, and they pushed, and they pulled, and they slogged, and they finally got the menorah up the hill. But by the time they reached the top and unloaded it, it was already time to light the last candle for the last night of Hannukah. On the 8th night of Hannukah, the last night, after the giant menorah had been lit, Avram turned to Yitzi and said, "Okay, Yitzi, so you said there was a gift for the mayor. Where is it?" "You are looking at it, Father," said Yitzi. "But all I see is the giant menorah." "Well, look again, Father." This time, when Avram looked, and all the villagers looked, they saw not only the giant menorah, but 9 brilliant flames dancing in the night sky. And this time, when Yitzi began to sing a Hannukah song, everybody joined in. Well, at that very moment, on a different hill outside of Lublin, the mayor was still climbing. He got about 3/4 of the way up when he said, "Oi, I don't think I can carry on anymore. My knees are hurting, my back is hurting, my neck is hurting." But then he heard something. It sounded like singing. With renewed strength, the mayor climbed the rest of the way up. And when he reached the top, he saw something on a distant hillside that filled his heart with joy. It was the sight of the Giant Menorah, lit up in all of its magnificence. Well, the mayor of Lublin stood there for a long time, delighting in the perfect thank you from Yitzi and the people of Chelm.